Hi there, my name's David Young, the Resourceful Coach, and what we're going to talk a little bit about today is green reading. Now, for me, green reading is probably the one area of the game that's practiced the least amount, but will make the biggest difference to your game. And we're going to show you today, it's very, very simple how to read a green and understand really the main thing you're looking for is to understand one thing, gravity. Gravity is going to affect your golf ball, and the slope of the green is going to determine how your golf ball is going to move. We're going to show you very simply through the idea that I use, which is what I call understanding where the water would run, and then using your playing partners to understand how you can improve your green reading. And if you do this, the biggest change I found with golfers is the three putt seems to disappear, because now we start to get that first putt much closer to the hole because we understand how the slopes are going to affect the shot. So we'll go through a few things today, but the main priority that we're going to look at is understanding how the slope affects your golf ball and how it will do most of this at the end of the journey as the ball runs out of power. So how do I read a green? Well, what we're looking at here, I've got my water bottle, and the way I read a green is I go up to the hole and I start to look at the hole, and I imagine if the hole started overflowing with water, where would the water run? Okay, now looking at this hole, I can see the slope we've got here, the water's running a little bit towards the camera there. So we're just going to put some water on the green and we'll just see how that then is affected as it runs down the green. And we can watch that water run down the green, and you can see hopefully on the camera there it's running down towards the camera. So here's our first little thing you can do. Everybody now seems to have a bottle of water. So go to your practice putting green, do what I've done there. Think, well, where do I think the water would run? Just favour that side of the hole, and then basically from there just put a ball 6 feet on the line you've seen the water run down. Okay, that's all you're going to do. And to help you to read your green and make sure you're doing it correctly, you're now just going to hit a couple of putts from here. And if what we're saying is correct, gravity's correct, this should be a straight uphill putt. Okay, so we can see exactly what that's going to do from there. So what we can do on the green today is realize that hole isn't going to change all the time that we're out here. That basically that low point, we'll put a tee peg in the ground there, that will always be a straight uphill putt. And everything you're going to do, whether you're putting from this side of the hole or this side of the hole, coming from the top or coming from below, everything is going to want to be encouraged to go more towards that tee peg rather than running straight at the hole. Everything's going to want to come down towards the camera. So that's our first thing. That's the biggest thing for me. If you only learn one thing, understand gravity is pulling the ball to the low point. If it's going to the low point, that's where your ball is always going to be pulled. So even if I roll a ball from here, let's putt a ball from here, and I putt dead straight at the hole, the ball now, depending on the weight that I hit it, you can see it turning towards the tee peg. So everything is going that way. That's the important thing to understand. Doesn't matter where I putt from. So now if I come from above the hole, okay, I'm going to go directly above. This should be, if the green is consistent, this should be a pretty straight putt, but the ball is going to run down the hill. So I hardly have to touch this, going down the hill, and you can see the ball just rolled continuously down there. We do our final putt from this side. Again, I'm going to putt directly at the hole. You'll see the ball as it goes along will start to find its way down the hill towards the tee peg. So as I said, if you only learn one thing from today, that's the key thing. The ball is going to go where gravity is encouraging it to go, where we saw the water went. And as I said, go to the putting green, find that straight putt, and then start to, from there, learn how that's going to affect the shot. And now what we're going to do is set up some drills to work with that and understand how that's going to affect you to make better decisions on your green reading, to then get more balls in the hole and get the result that you want. So we use the water to find the low point, and what we've set up here is a really easy drill now to understand the two main parts now once you understand how to read a putt that you've got to get right, and that's your line and your length. So that's really understanding where do I aim and how much pace am I going to put into it. So I use this what I call the clock face idea. The water is basically running to 6 o'clock on the clock face. That's the key number we're starting with. And everything is going to relate to the 6 o'clock. Everything's going to try and come back to the 6 o'clock because gravity is going to pull it down the hill. And what I've done here, I've set up the clock face working on, we've got our 6 o'clock here, We've got our 3 o'clock on this side, 12 and 9 o'clock. And I want you to simply just think of it as two things. Anything that's on the 6 o'clock side, so anytime your ball is below the 3 and the 9 o'clock, it has to be an uphill putt. And anything on the 12 o'clock side, so above that 9 and 3 o'clock line, has to be a downhill putt. And that's because what you're doing, if we look at it relative to the hole, here you're putting away from the water line, up the hill, before the water will pull you down the hill. On that side, the water's pulling you down the hill all the time. So that's our first part. That's going to tell us a little bit the speed of where we're going. Then we've got a second part. We're talking about the line. So if we go 3 o'clock side, so we're going over to this side, everything from here is going to turn towards the tee peg that way. So every putt on the 3 o'clock side, so that's whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 o'clock, has to be a right to left putt. And the opposite will happen if we're on the 9 o'clock side. Anything now is going to turn from left to right down the hill. So we're looking 11, 10, 9, 8 and 7. They're all going to be left to right putts. So straight away we can break that down. We can see below the 9 to 3 o'clock is an uphill putt, above it is downhill. 3 o'clock side, right to left, 9 o'clock side, left to right. And if you can just use your imagination, now you can really simplify it. You've now got 4 areas. So if I fall into the 3 to 6 slot, I now know anywhere in this area, this is going to be an uphill putt because I'm on the 6 o'clock side, and it's going to be a right to left putt because I'm on the 3 o'clock side. So everything here, when I putt this, I have to aim out here with a little bit more speed and it will turn into the hole. Okay, staying on the low side so we understand still the pace of putt. So now I'm on the 9 o'clock side, but I'm on the 6 o'clock half. This is also going to be an uphill putt, but it's now got to turn left to right. So that's our uphill putt, right to left, left to right. Now we go above that line. Everything now, once we get above that, is going to be downhill. Because we're now between 9 and 12, this has to be a left to right putt. Remember, everything's going to the tee peg. That's the key thing. And we get here, this is now a downhill right to left putt. So when you walk to the hole, when you find that position, your ball could be anywhere on the green, could be over here. You look at the hole, you find your 6 o'clock. Imagine the clock face. So what I do is I'll go to the 6 o'clock. I will look at my ball. Let's say it's that ball over there. And I imagine the clock face. I think, right, that's at 10 o'clock. So I now know that's got to be downhill left to right. Now what's going to determine how much I aim to the left and how much power is how severe the slope is. But I now know if I aim left of the hole and I'm going down that hill, so I hit it softly, down the hill, that ball's going to turn towards the tee peg. You could see what was happening to the ball. You can see it coming round nicely to the hole. Okay. If I fell into that area, we'll make this a little bit longer here. I'm here, there's my 6 o'clock again. I now know I'm below the 9 to 3, so I know it's an uphill putt. And I know it's still got to move left to right because the tee peg, the 6 o'clock, is over there. So I'm always aiming the opposite side of the hole of the tee peg. And feel that's going to break a little left to right, up the hill, and that will then turn in. Okay, so we can look at that from that side, and we can see on this side, left to right putts. We come to this side. Yep, we're below the line, so it has to be uphill. But because we're below also, it has to be right to left because we're coming from this side. We're on the 3 o'clock side. So aim it to the right, put it out there, come round. On that occasion, I got the line right. I just didn't give it enough pace. But you can see, look, every putt, if it doesn't go in, I'm getting it so much closer to the hole. Really, really pleased with that. And here's our last one. We're above the 9 to 3, so it has to be downhill. We're on the 3 o'clock side, so it has to be right to left as we go down the hill. So remember, where the low point is, you're putting always the opposite side of the hole to let the slope bring it round. You can see that ball, look where it's going. It's trying to find the low point. Look, it's ended up on the club, bang down the line. So just take a little bit of time with this drill. Might take you a couple of times just to watch the video, recap what we've said, but you can use this drill to really help you to understand what's uphill, what's downhill, what's right to left, what's left to right, and think of your 4 segments, okay? Think of the quarters and think to yourself, which one am I in? That putt now must be either uphill right to left, uphill left to right, downhill right to left, downhill left to right. And what I find then is straight away, I'm always starting the ball on the correct side of the hole and I'm starting to get my weight a lot better. So please use my clock face idea. Once you find that water line, use the clock face and you'll start to see your putting. You'll understand how the ball's reacting and working with that. What we're going to look at now, the last part of our drill, is to understand if you're playing with partners, you don't just have to be on their line. Your playing partner can putt from anywhere on the green and will give you some free advice. So here's our final piece, how gravity is going to help you to read your putts better. And this is something you can learn on the golf course from your playing partners. So what's a common thing you get told to do, that we've got two balls set up here, and let's say I'm the closest one and this person's on a similar line to me, is you're told to watch their putt. And I would encourage that for everybody, okay? Rules of golf state, you can't stand directly behind and look down the line, but stand in a position where you can get a good clear image. And that should give you the best bit of information. But the only way that information is good, if they've got the speed right. So that's the important thing what we're going through on this idea. You can now start to use all your playing partners to help you to read your putt. But the one most important thing is their speed must be good. If they're racing at 10 foot past, 6 feet short, ignore their putt. But if they're rolling it within 18 inches, 2 feet of the hole, start to learn what it's done and how that ball is running down the green. And the reason why you're going to do this is because that hole is going to remain the same for the time the all group is playing that hole. The greenkeeper isn't going to come in and change it after two of you have putted. So you've all putting to the same hole. The low point where that water would run is going to remain the same. So it's really important to watch all of your playing partners. Don't just stand there and just think, oh, it's a lovely day, it's great. Watch your playing partners, because somebody putting, you can see here, if we look at our clock face idea, here's 6 o'clock. These putts, which are on the same line, are 7 o'clock. We've got roughly a 2:30 and we've got a 10:30. So that's on a, you could say that's a similar line because it's nearly opposite the hole, but it's still not perfect. But this one looks nowhere near where I want to go. But remember, what I want to find out is, have I read the 6 o'clock position correctly? That's the key thing I'm after. Do I know where that is? Yes, that player's going to give me the best bit of information, but if he gets the weight wrong, he's not going to help me. So can I get some information from these players? Okay, so I'm putting from 10:30. We'll use our clock face idea. We're above the 9 to 3 o'clock line, so it has to be a downhill putt. I'm on the 9 o'clock side, so it must be a left to right putt. So if the ball starts to turn towards the club, we know we've picked that 6 o'clock positions correct. So this player's got to hit this quite soft, out to the left side of the hole, get it running down towards the hole. And remember what we said, if they get it within a couple of feet of the hole, look what the ball's doing, it's trying to find its way down. So on this occasion, I've just gone a little bit high. Well, what do they say? Professionals miss on the high side, because as long as it's high, it's got a chance to drop in. If it starts going low, it can't go back up the hill. So straight away, what I've learned, if that's the 6 o'clock, I need to be left of it to come down. So that one I can learn from, and look where the ball was finding our low point, where the club's laid down. Okay, got to putt from here now. Where am I putting from? We said round about 2:30. So what have we got? Well, it's slightly downhill because I'm above the 9 to 3 line. I'm on the 3 o'clock side, so it must be right to left. Okay, so again, if it starts to turn to the 5 iron that I've put on the green, perfect. Keep it to the right side. Out there, here comes the slope. Look what it's doing, it's trying to turn, it's working its way. I just hit it a little bit too hard. So that's a putt you might a little bit ignore, because I've hit that a little bit too firm. But you could still see, if I'd hit it the right speed, probably would have gone in, but it would have found its way down there. So we can learn from that one all day long as we go through. Okay, we'll just move this one to the side. We're now putting from 7 o'clock. Both putting on a similar line. So this should be uphill, slightly left to right, because we're seeing with those first two balls, great. We've learned it's still doing what we expect it to do. He rolls it up the hill. He's got the line. So now, straight away, doesn't always work out this way, but this should be the easy putt now, because he's definitely given me the idea. This should be a left lip putt, up the hill, roll it into the hole. So, yes, I learnt the most from the guy on a similar line, but definitely the guy putting from over there coming down gave me some help. And even that one, which was a little bit firm, I could still, it reconfirmed in my mind it is moving that way. So it's doing the right thing as you go through the shot. So everything about my way of reading greens is about understanding gravity. We showed you that with water, how the water would run down the hill. Go to the practice putting green, find a hole with a little bit of slope, take a bottle of water, just pour it on the green, watch where it goes, hit a couple of putts up that line. They should be pretty straight. Okay, if you find that line, put a club down, put a tee peg down, and now realize every ball around that hole is going to start to turn towards that water where it went, towards that tee peg. Then we use the clock face idea to say what's uphill, what's downhill, what's right to left, what's left to right. Use that idea. You might need to just go through that a couple of times to get that really firm in your mind. But you'll start to realize if you walk onto the green and you're standing at 4 o'clock, straight away your brain will go, that's an uphill putt right to left. Okay, you stand in a position where you think it's 12 o'clock, well that's straight down the hill. And the great thing is, a lot of the time when you chip onto the green, the ball is going to look to find the low point. So you'll often find that first chip onto the green when you're just around the green will end up, if you chip it past the hole, will end up pretty close to the 6 o'clock and you won't have a lot of break going up the hill. So use those ideas, use your playing partners, as we just showed you, their balls can give you some really good free information. And what you'll find is the 3 putts will start to reduce and you'll start to hole a few more of those 10-footers because you'll realise, yeah, the amount of break, because you've practiced how the uphill effect is going to determine the line and the downhill will determine the line. I hope you've enjoyed that tip. As I said, this is how I've learned how to putt, and what you find is the 3 putts I just don't find exist anymore. And if you want to get rid of those 3 putts, have a go with this technique. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please share this with your friends and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.